Hello and welcome to Shot Clock Scribbles. Today is Saturday, the 24th, Memorial Day weekend. I hope you all enjoy your 3 day weekend. If you do have it, I am your host, Tendai Mkandurire, and I'm recording live from the City of Trees in Sacramento, California. It's about 10 a.m. here, Pacific time on the West Coast. And today we have a jam packed episode breaking down the 2025 NBA Conference Finals action and reacting to the NBA's end of season awards. Both conference finals have taken up some unexpected turns. Hello and welcome to Shot Clock Scribbles. Today is Saturday, the 24th, Memorial Day weekend. I hope you all enjoy your 3 day weekend. If you have it, I am your host, and today we have a jam packed episode breaking down the conference finals and reacting to the end of season awards. It's about 10 a.m. here in the City of Trees of Sacramento, California. Both conference finals have taken some unexpected turns. The OKC Thunder have jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the West, and the Indiana Pacers have done the same in the East. We'll dive into the storylines, standout performers, unsung heroes, defensive schemes, and the coaching chess matchups in both of these series. After that, we'll discuss the freshly announced NBA awards from the MVP to the All NBA, all defensive and all rookie teams, and what those honors tell us about this season's trends. With minimal media fluff, of course, we're sticking to on court sites and we're sticking to on court insights. And I have a lot of analytics to tell you guys throughout the show. I'm trying a little something different, so I hope you guys like it. Grab your popcorn or maybe your stat sheets or whatever you want to say. And what those honors tell us about this season's trends. With minimal media fluff, of course, we're sticking to the on court insights. I'm trying something different this time with the analytics and breakdown that's a lot more concise. So I hope you guys like it. Would love some feedback if you guys would mind. From the MVP to the All NBA, All Defensive, and All Rookie teams, and what those honors tell us about this season's trends. With minimal media fluff, of course, we're sticking to a lot of analytics and breakdowns. And I hope you guys like what I have to and what those honors tell us about this season's trends with minimal media fluff, of course. I'm trying something different this time. So I hope you guys like it. Would love some feedback. If you guys can send that over my way, grab your popcorn or maybe your stat sheets and let's get into it. Let's start out in the West as we always do. The Western Conference Finals feature two of the youngest teams in the NBA. The OKC Thunder lead 2-0 over the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they've done it in style, winning games and one. And they've done it in style, winning games 1 and 2 at home in OKC. This matchup is a clash between the Thunder's up-tempo, disruptive style and the Timberwolves' athletic half-court game. So let's break down what we've seen so far. First is SGA's MVP. First things first, SGA's MVP performance. I mean, he's just been lights out good this year, right? I had my prediction. First thing is first, SGA's MVP performance. I mean, he's been nothing short of amazing, right? The award was officially handed to him by Commissioner Alex Silver before game two in OKC in front of a roaring home crowd. And SGA is living up to the hype. In game one, he dropped 38 points on Minnesota, slicing through the defense with that trademark change of pace and silky mid range game that I saw right here in Sacramento. And through the first two games, SGA is averaging around 32 points and 7 assists with a true shooting percentage hovering in the 60s. And that is elite efficiency, my friends. a testament to his smart shot selection and ability to draw fouls. A lot of people like to say he's a foul merchant. I don't believe so. Minnesota has tried throwing a lot of length at him. Jaden McDaniels, one of the league's better young wing defenders, and he's been the primary matchup. And still, SGA is still finding ways to impact the game. Notably, he's been driving into the paint at will, around 19 and a half drives per game in these playoffs. And when the Wolves collapse on him, he's kicking out to open shooters. OKC actually leads all playoff teams in kick out passes off of drives at 22.4 pass outs per game off those penetrations, showing how SGA's gravity is creating looks for his teammates. What Sam Presti did as a GM is what other teams should also try to do. That is build around your main star. And the Thunder have done just that. While SGA, I thought it was a nice touch. SGA gave out Rolexes, iPhones, and Canada. I thought it was a nice touch. SGA gave out Rolexes, iPhones, and Canada Goose jackets to his teammates. Top shot to word to two. All right, let's move on. Thunder's disruptive defense. The biggest storyline might be the Thunder's defense and aggression. They've been nothing short of elite. I think Tim Legler say that this is the best defensive team that we've seen since the 90s Bulls. And I wasn't really around to watch those games live. I obviously know what the hell he's talking about because I've seen the tape and I've watched the games. Um, and I don't disagree with him one single bit. OKC's young guns are swarming on that end. So far in this postseason, guys, they've forced turnovers at so far in the postseason, they've forced turnovers on 15.7% of opponents' possessions. That is the highest rate of any playoff team per NBC Sports. That trend continued in games one and two. Minnesota coughed it up repeatedly, a lot of turnovers in games one and two, with OKC's active hands turning bad passes into fast breaks. In fact, if you ask the Denver Nuggets how lethal those live ball turnovers can be, they'll learn that the hard way. We saw that several times, especially towards the end of that series with Alex Caruso. And Thunder's defenders like Lou Dort, more on him in a second here. And then again, Alex Caruso, the veteran, is now anchoring that second unit, and he'll pick your pocket if you're careless. We saw a prime example with Caruso's clutch steal leading to an SGA slam in the last series. The Wolves must take care of the ball against this on ball pressure, or things will get ugly fast in game three. The Wolves must take care of the ball against this on ball pressure, or things will get ugly fast in game three. Next point, Lou Dort versus Anthony Edwards. This has been the marquee matchup in this series. One delightful battle in this series has been Lou Dort guarding Ant-Man. And let me tell you, it's been physical. Lou, he's built like Derrick Henry. I'm obviously reaching a bit here, but my case in point is Dort's size is disrupting Ant. Dort has been a reputation Dort has a reputation as one of the league's most tenacious on-ball defenders and arguably the best at hounding ball handlers on the perimeter. Just ask Luca. Edwards, on the other hand, is a newly minted All NBA star in his own right, the engine of Minnesota's offense, and he's been a freight train going to the rim. Not to mention a streaky three-point sniper whenever he pulls up with the roof missing. Through two games, Dort has made Ant work for everything, absolutely everything. Edwards is getting his points. He's averaging about 28 a night so far in this series. I think he had 32 last game, but on tough efficiency. Dort's strength and lateral quickness is clearly bothering him. Minnesota has tried Minnesota has been trying to free up Ant with screens to shake off Dort off of him, but here's the problem. A few defenders in the league fight through picks. Minnesota has Minnesota has been trying to free Edwards with screens to shake off Dort, but here's the problem. Few defenders in the league fight through picks like Lou Dort. At times, he does flop a bit, which I'll keep it a buck. Sometimes he does flop. For a guy his size, he shouldn't be flopping like that. And even when they do manage to force off a switch, there are no easy targets in OKC's lineup for and to really exploit. As one analyst said, quote, there are no pigeons in the OKC core, close quote, per NBC Sports. And Coach Mark and OKC, he has his team playing very disciplined, right? Swarming defense. And they're content to make Ant Man hit tough contested shots over Dort or double him at the key. Coach Mark, Coach Mark for OKC has his team playing discipline, right? Swarming defense. And they're content to make Ant Man hit tough contested shots over Dort or double him at key moments to make someone else beat them. And I just think that that's a good recipe if you're OKC and the Thunder. Next point. Next point here is J Dub. After a somewhat inconsistent second round, he struggled against Denver's defense, shooting only around 38% that series per NBC Sports. And some of his shot selections during the last series, I was not impressed with J Dub and some of those shots that he was taking. I just thought next point here is J Dub. After somewhat a inconsistent second round, he really struggled against Denver's defense, shooting only around 38% in that series per NBC Sports. And some of his shot selections during that series really scratched my head. I was like, damn, J Dub, like, why are you shooting that? Next point is J Dub. After a somewhat inconsistent second round, he really struggled against Denver's defense, shooting only around 38% that series per NBC Sports. And his shot selection during the last round really made me scratch my head. But you know what? We got to give him his flowers. Dub stepped up in that game number 7 because he needed to be. And he's been doing that for them in these conference finals. Remember, in game number 7 against Denver, he dropped 24 points on 10 of 17 shooting. And he's carried that confidence forward and needs to continue to do so. With so much attention on SGA, Dub's ability to slash and play make for his teammates has been absolutely vital. In game 2, for example, he quietly filled up the box score with a 26 point, 10 boards, 5 assist effort, attacking off catch whenever Minnesota loads up on SGA. And the Thunder's depth is a real factor. Coach Mark has been running a 10-man rotation for most of these playoffs per ESPN, using fresh legs to keep the defensive intensity high, which is a good recipe for success in my eyes. And Coach Mark, he's only shortened it to 8 in the previous round. And he only shortened it to he only shortened it to 8 in the previous round in game 7 when absolutely necessary. He shortened that to 8 in the previous game 7 against Denver when absolutely necessary. Contrast that with Minnesota, who typically relies on the 8-man rotation with heavy minutes for their stars, Julius Randle, Anthony Edwards. And fatigue could really become an issue for the Timberwolves, honestly. Ant Man is logging nearly 40 minutes a night this postseason per ESPN. And the Thunder's bench featuring guys like Cason Wallace who can handle the ball. And I heard some of his teammates talk about you guys didn't even know, but like, you know, Cason was a point guard in high school. And The Thunder's bench, featuring guys like Casey Wallace who can handle the ball, but also can play lockdown defense, and defensive spark plugs like Caruso, who can throw different looks at Minnesota, disrupting the bigs really in vulnerable areas like damn near half court. Through the first two games, OKC's bench has actually outscored Minnesota, and the energy has really helped the Thunder push the pace at every opportunity. Next point that I want to make here is battle of the bigs. A surprising development has been in the paint. The Timberwolves have the towering Rudy Gobert, man in the middle, but OKC has not been punked inside like some feared. Chet Holmgren, in his first healthy first season, is holding it down defensively. And I'm really proud of Chet because to go through what he went through really early on in his career, I mean, injuries like that can really take a toll on the mental. Going through it myself, obviously not at this kind of level, but though though giving up a lot of weight to Rudy, Chet's length is altering shots, and he's averaging around 3 blocks in this series and countless more altered attempts at the rim. OKC even added Isaiah Hartenstein, or iHeart, as I'm told is what the dudes over there refer him to, a bruising 7 footer to their front court rotation late this season. Obviously, starting off the season on the sidelines, which means Rudy can't camp in the paint like he normally does. He's had to navigate both the finesse of Chet and the physical box outs of Isaiah Hartenstein. And Rudy did have a monster 27 point, 24 rebound game against the Lakers. Rudy had a monster 27 point, 24 rebound game against the Lakers to close them out. But so far in these conference finals, he's been quieter. I know they played the Warriors last series too, by the way. But in this, Rudy did have a monster 27 point, 24 rebound game against the Lakers to close them out. But in this conference finals, he's been a lot quieter. I know they played Golden State last series, but he's been a lot quieter. The Thunder strategy has been very clear from the start. Attack him in space. Those snake screens that we saw through games 1 and 2 is just to get him really high up, to get him out of the paint, and then attack him, beat him off the dribble, or try to make it those snake screens high up, top of the paint, to get Rudy out of the paint and attack him, beat him off the dribble, or try to take it to the cup and draw a foul if you can, or dish it out. Pushing on the pedal is what this OKC Thunder team does. SGA and Dub, they're pulling Gobert into pick and rolls, then either driving at him to draw help or dishing when Rudy commits. Simple as that. They know Rudy is a elite rim protector. But also, if they move the ball quickly, they can get layups if he's put out a little too far or out of position. Smart strategy from OKC. It's a high stakes game for Rudy. He has to dominate the paint for Minnesota to have a chance. Him and Julius Randle, they got to show up in this series if these guys have any chance of making somewhat of a comeback, which I don't think they will. Right now, so far, advantage OKC. And I always see people talking shit about Rudy, this, that, and the third, and talking about how much money he makes and the production is not there. Let me just squash that real quick. If you could have Rudy Gobert on your team, you would. Imagine if this guy could shoot threes. Man. All right, next point. All right, next point, and then we'll wrap up this series and move on to the next one. Coaching and adjustments. So tactically, Mark on OKC, he's pressing on all the right buttons right now for OKC. He's mixing some zone looks briefly to really disrupt the Wolves' defense, like Denver did all series long. Heard them say after the game that they really all right. Last point on this series, and then we'll move on to the next one. Coaching and adjustments. So tactically, Mark is pressing on all the right buttons for OKC. He's mixing some zones, which essentially is just trying to disrupt the Timberwolves defense, very much like Denver did in the last series. I heard J Dub talking about it was very refreshing to see a different look after going through 7 games with Denver playing zone all series long. So obviously, man to man is what some of the looks that they're getting. But Mark, he's been very liberal in using his timeouts, right, to really kill Minnesota's runs and keep the crowd out of it. And Mark has been liberal in using his timeouts to kill Minnesota. Mark's been very smart in using his timeouts to kill off Minnesota's runs, which is a very smart and tactical decision from him. Meanwhile, Chris Finch, the only coach that I've actually chatted with this whole entire season over at the Sawyer, if you're not from Sacramento, that's the team hotel. But he has a lot to figure out as the series shifts back to Minnesota. One adjustment that the Timberwolves might consider is leveraging Carl Anthony Towns more. Oh, wait, that's right. Towns is no longer on the Wolves. More on that in a second when we talk about the East. That was deliberate, by the way. In his absence, much of the scoring load is on Ant, and Vinci might try getting Mike Conley and Naz Reid more of their Finchie might try getting Mike Conley and Naz Reid more involved offensively to punish the Thunder when they load up on Ant. To add to that, why not if you're Finchie? Maybe you start Nickel Alexander Walker. I mean, he's younger, he's hungry against his blood in SGA. He had 17 points last game, 3 for 4 from deep, and shot 62% from the field. And he's a disruptor on defense. He picks up silly fouls and can be ultra aggressive at times, I must admit. But if you're Finchie, maybe you try that and see how that goes for you in game 3. Also, look for the Timberwolves to try playing smaller but faster lineups in spurts. Perhaps maybe having Jaden at the 4 and Naz at the 5 whenever Rudy goes to the bench to see if they can spread OKC's defense and create driving lanes. Defensively, Minnesota might experiment with trapping SGA early to force the ball out of his hands, even at the risk of those kickout passes. So far, OKC has picked them apart whenever the Timberwolves defense collapses inward. It's truly been a clinic in execution by the Thunder on both ends. In summary, the Thunder have been dominant. They're playing beyond their years. Remember, this is the youngest roster in the NBA playoffs, guys. The average age is 24.6. In summary, the Thunder have been dominant. They're playing beyond their years. And remember, guys, this is the youngest roster in the NBA playoffs. Average age is around 24.6 per ESPN. Yet they're executing like season contenders. I think they're gonna just run away with this, guys. If I'm just keeping it a buck, and it's no wonder some are already saying OKC might be the team to beat in the West for years to come. I honestly don't see any team right now beating this OKC team in these playoffs. The Timberwolves are a resilient bunch. They didn't get here by accident. They started up the year kind of rocky and picked it up towards the end of the season, past the All Star break. But going down 0-2 on the road, and now they're heading back home, and they must avoid losing Game 3, or this thing is over in a sweep after Game 4. If Minnesota cannot take Game 3, this is over fast. As of right now, SGA and the Thunder look poised to continue their improbable run to the finals with the MVP 2 leading the way.